Anthropic just introduced something called programmatic credits, a monthly allowance on top of your existing subscription for tools like the Agent SDK, the Claude-P command, and third-party apps like OpenClaw. It means your $200 max subscription gives you $200 of API credits per month, which, if you're a heavy user, could be gone in a single afternoon. But the way Anthropic have announced it makes it sound like they're giving you a bonus, something on top of your existing subscription. If you look into the details, however, it's actually something much worse. So hit subscribe and let's dig into exactly what this means. To understand why this exists, we need to go all the way back to when Claude Code was first launched, because from the beginning, Anthropic let you use the Agent SDK and Claude-P with your subscription, which meant developers could build tools on top of Claude with the existing plan, which is exactly what they did. Matt Pocock built Sandcastle, a library for running coding agents in sandboxes. Theo built T3 Code, a desktop app for managing multiple coding agents. And Zed, the open source code editor, added Claude as a built-in agent. All of these tools could be paid for through your subscription. But the problem was that some developers on the $200 max plan were running workloads that were 10 or even 30 times more at API rates, and Anthropic were absorbing the cost. So on the 9th of Jan, they quietly blocked subscription tokens from working outside official apps. No announcement, no warning, just a silent update that broke workflows overnight. Some developers even had their accounts banned for triggering abuse filters. Then in February, they updated their terms of service to formally ban third-party harness use. But to make things worse, in April, they actually went ahead to enforce this, blocking apps like OpenCode and everything else, and even updated the Claude Code system prompt to scan Git statuses for keywords like OpenClaw and Hermes. And if your Git history happened to mention one of these words, you could get flagged even if you weren't using these tools. There isn't a concrete reason as to why Anthropic did this, but I have 3 potential theories. The first is compute efficiency. Anthropic claims that third-party tools weren't using prompt caching properly, which means every request costs more to serve than the exact same request coming from Claude Code. But on the 6th of May, Anthropic signed a deal with SpaceX for over 220,000 GPUs, so if compute was the problem, they just solved it. So the second theory is telemetry. They claim that third-party tools generate unusual traffic patterns without any of the telemetry that Claude Code provides, which makes it hard for them to debug rate limits or account bans. But they could just require third-party tools to send a specific type of telemetry or get the telemetry to go through the SDK instead of banning them completely. And the third theory is competitive positioning. Why let someone build a different version of Claude Code that could benefit from the subscription, but also allow the user to change between different models, not locking them into the Anthropic ecosystem? This one is harder to debunk because every restriction they've made have pushed users towards official Anthropic tools and away from everything else. And for the longest time, Anthropic have been figuring out how to still give developers a subscription, but allow them to use the tools they're comfortable with. So they landed on this credit system, which sounds like a great deal until you do the maths. Every paid subscriber gets a monthly credit equal to their subscription price. So $20 on the Pro plan, $100 on the Max 5x plan, and $200 on the Max 20x plan. These credits are only for programmatic usage, so using the Agent SDK, the Claude-P command, and third-party apps built on top of the SDK. But here's the catch. These credits are billed at full API rates. To put that into perspective, on the Pro plan, you get around 45 messages every 5 hours all month long. But $20 of API credits using Opus 4.7 could be gone in just 2 days. And on the 20x Max plan, it could feel like you're getting unlimited programmatic usage with your subscription, but with $200 of credits that might last just a week if you're lucky. And once those credits run out, you either stop or enable extra usage, which already charges you full rates on top of your subscription. Yes, these credits do refresh every month, but if you don't use them, they don't roll over into the next month, they just expire. All of this kicks in on the 15th of June, but you do have to opt into it for it to take effect, or you don't get anything. On one hand, this is a good thing because there's finally clarity on how developers can use Claude in third-party tools like OpenClaw, Conductor, and Hermes without getting banned. But on the other hand, this is a bad thing because it now costs way more to use these models with certain tools than it would have been with the subscription. And it's clear that Anthropic would prefer you to use official tools in their ecosystem than other tools that are made by people that aren't them. They've clearly started to adopt features from these tools like remote control, managed agents, and Claude routines, all designed to make you feel like you don't need anything else, which is basically vendor lock-in, the same thing that companies like AWS have been doing. But the funny thing is that it's actually working. I've personally fully moved from OpenCode to Claude Code because I don't want to get banned, and I've stopped stopped using NanoClaw in favor of Claude routines and using the official connectors they give you. Yes, I do miss the ability to have things that are truly custom, to have my own scripts running my own custom workflows, and the ability to use some very cool open source tools out there, but the subscription prices are so much cheaper, and I personally prefer using Opus to any other model for most tasks. But I will admit it does feel strange to be banned or to now pay for something that was previously included, and this is a complete different take to what competitors like OpenAI are doing by including codecs in every single ChatGPT subscription with no extra credit system and with the ability to use that subscription in any third-party tool. They've even opened their platform to OpenClaw and its 3 million users, although they have technically bought the person who created it, so it does make sense. And they're offering enterprise customers 2 free months of codecs if they switch from Claude, which is a very good play considering the enterprise pricing for Claude code is insanely expensive. So while Anthropic is putting up walls, OpenAI is tearing them down. Well, they're technically not doing anything. Anthropic is making up weird rules that is giving them free customers. And the question now is whether the Claude models are still good enough to justify paying for more to use them. Right now, for me, the answer is yes, but the gap is closing very quickly.